Hello guys, welcome to a special edition of Russian Football News Predictions League. This is recorded from Vnukovo Airport because I wanted to get it in tonight to give you guys a chance to have extra time to get your predictions submitted. So, long story short, I've been to Sochi. I went to the Russian Cup final where we saw 4 red cards, 2 goals, pitch invasions, fires, the lot. Utter chaos, really. I'm sure you've all seen the replays and memes on social media and whatnot, but I still don't think we've seen the end of that. Lokomotiv have to play Ural in a couple of weeks' time, so that'll be interesting when they come up to Yekaterinburg. But anyhow, guys, I'm going to make this a quick one because I don't want the battery to run out here. I was going to run through, as usual, and give you my predictions, and then you can add your comments below. Okay, first up we have got Amkar against CSKA on Saturday afternoon. For UK viewers this will be a 10 AM start, so get your predictions in tonight if you can, or at least Friday. So Amkar have got Branko Jovicic suspended. I think he's out for 2 games in fact, but he's certainly out for this week. He was sent off last week. Fiogor Ogure is injured with a groin injury, and Alexander Sulugin has questions over his fitness. Amkar just on a dreadful run of form. There's no two ways about it. I don't think they've won for something like 7 games, 8 games. CSKA, yeah, they had that crushing defeat to Spartak, but they still got the pressure of the Champions League qualification. They've got to at least keep up with Zenit, and seeing as Zenit, have got Terek at home, which is you'd imagine more comfortable than Amkar away. Pressure's on. However, CSKA, I do believe, are too good for Amkar at the moment. Amkar have got nothing left to play for. They're safe, they're not going anywhere in Europe, and they're on poor form. So I'm backing CSKA to win this one. I'm just going to go for 1-0, nothing special. Question marks over Alan Zagoyev's fitness after he was rushed back for the Spartak derby game, but in truth I don't think he was fit, and I think he might not play this one either. Anyhow, I'm still going for 1-0 CSKA. Next up, Spartak against Arsenal Tula against Rostov. Arsenal, to be quite honest with you, I don't see this being the most thrilling game of all time. Rostov they're just incredibly at the back. They're incredibly tight. Nikita Medvedev, as you have seen if you've read the RussianFootballNews.com, you'll see an article by David Sampson on Nikita Medvedev breaking Ruslan Nigmatulin's record of 937 minutes, I believe it was. He broke the record for minutes unbeaten, and I don't see that changing here. Arsenal are very good at home. Don't make no mistake about that. They've won, I think, 4 out of the last 5 at home, something like that. Rostov are on good form. Interesting, really. Certainly don't think they'll be beaten. And they're only 3 points behind Krasnodar in that race for 4th place and Europa League. So, how do we see this one going? Well, doubts over Timofey Kalachov playing, Sozan Janaev, Vladimir Granat, their long-term injuries. Marko Simic picked up a knock last week, so few injury worries for them. But there are also some injury worries for Arsenal. Gio Grigolava and Stopila Sunzu both questionable for this one. Arsenal are the lowest scorers in the top flight. They've only scored 14 all season. So realistically, it's impossible to see Rostov losing this one, even though they are away. And actually Rostov's away record is not great, but they're just on such good form. They've got an air of invincibility about them at the moment. They've got that sniff of Europa League. I don't think they'll make it personally, but they still have that incentive. So I'm going to go for a Rostov win, and no surprises, it's only going to be 1-0 for me in this one. Okay, then on Saturday evening, 3rd game on Saturday, Spartak at home to Tom Tomsk. Apparently, I've seen odds reported of something like 20 to 1 upwards, of some even 25, 30 to 1 for Tom to win this. Double chance, draw or Tom Tomsk win, 11 to 1. Absolutely eye-watering odds. Now, if Spartak win and Zenit drop points, then that is mathematically the championship. 8 points clear with 4 games to go now. I think Zenit and Spartak will both win, and Spartak in this game is really a no-brainer. Of course they will beat Toms. Although, having said that, Tom have proven to be more resilient than most of us thought, and I keep saying this, I find myself saying this again and again. You look at the table, okay, yes, they are down now, and mathematically they will be down if Krylia pick up points and Toms don't. That'll be mathematically down, but they made it much closer than it should have been. However, I'd say this is their last chance. Spartak really don't want to mess around. This is a golden opportunity for them to take an easy 3 points to put them on the verge of a title. Only going to be a Spartak win. By how many, I don't know. So I'm going to go for 3-0 Spartak. Interesting odds, by the way. I don't know if this is the official betting advice, but I saw reasonable odds for under 3.5 goals in this one. Personal tip, that one. Definitely go for that. Okay, moving on to Sunday. Orenburg at home to Krasnodar. Krasnodar, they're in pole position for the Europa League places. And Orenburg have their own pressures of getting out of the relegation zone. It's unlikely they'll get out of the relegation playoff zone because they're 6 points behind Angie with 4 games to go. But they would prefer to give themselves the best of chances. They're only 2 points clear of Arsenal Tula from the automatic relegation places, so the pressure is very different for both teams. Very interesting to see how that one is going to play out, because Orenburg at home are actually not too bad at all. They've only lost 4 games out of their 12. They've won 4 at home, which is the same as Ufa up in 7th. Only conceded 10 in 12 games. That's very impressive by anybody's standards. And Krasnodar, to be fair, they started off with a dreadful away record, but they have picked up a lot recently. Won 3 of the last 4 away from home, I believe it is. Now, let's just see what we think about the team news. I'll just drag the team news up if I can find it. There we go. Mikhail Kershkov's still out injured. Georgi Gablov's been out all season, as Alexei Pomerka's been out for a long time too. Dmitry Turbinsky's suspended, but not really a problem. Christian Ramirez surely will come back in there. Pavel Mamayev looks like he might be missing too, and Stanislav Krychuk and Vitaly Kalishin out. Overall though, Smolov, he's scoring again. Top scorer in the league by 5 goals clear of the next one. So I think Krasnodar are just that bit too strong for Orenburg. Orenburg, like I say, they're not going to be a pushover. I don't think it'll be high scoring. Will Orenburg score? I think they possibly might do. I'm going to go for 2-1 Krasnodar. I'm not entirely confident in the scoreline, if I'm perfectly honest, but I'm going to go for 2-1 because I don't think Orenburg are a pushover, and they may, like I say, they may get a goal. Okay, let's move on. Let's speed this up a bit. Okay, Rubin Kazan home to Ufa on Sunday afternoon. Let's just get up the team news. Where are we going? Rubin Kazan coming out. Okay, Alexander Song. Bit of a doubt with a muscle injury he's picked up, and Taras Burlak is out with a hamstring injury. Question marks over Jonatas and Maxime Lestien, so quite a lot of the attacking impetus taken out of them there. Ufa relatively injury free. Kahinde Fatai looks like he's out still with a muscle injury. Javi Gracia, oh blimey, he's still got pressure on him. I know he picked up 3 points. Pardon me, was it last week, week before? Yes, last week. So they are now, well, I know it's odd to be talking like this of Rubin Kazan, but they're relatively safe from relegation now. 9 points clear. They win today, that's pretty much it. And it's ridiculous that is the extent of their ambitions. Well, not their ambitions, sorry, that's the wrong word to use. Of their reality, that they have to avoid relegation, not be pushing for Europe. We thought at one point they might, but they've fallen off badly in the spring. But at home to Ufa, well, what have Ufa got to play for? They're nothing. basically, in short. 9 points off Europe, no chance there. Mathematically safe from relegation, so no really motivation. I think Rubin will win, actually, I do. So I'm going to go for a 1-0. Again, not exciting, but it's so hard to call what the consistency of Rubin. Anyway, moving on. We have Zenit at home to Terek. Terek, well, they've not been as they've not put in that second half of the season as you'd hope they would have. They were in 4th place going into the winter break, or just before it anyway. Fallen away a bit. A couple of wins recently though, so they're back up to 6th. 6 points off 4th. I just think that's a bit too much to ask, especially with Rostov ahead of them. Not to mention Krasnodar already in 4th. So I see Zenit have got the bit between their teeth now, you see, because they've had 3 wins in a row. They've overtaken CSKA, given the derby defeat by Spartak. So they're in pole position for Champions League. They're not going to let that go. I see Zenit winning this, so I'm going to go for a 2-0 to Zenit. Okay, moving on. 2 more games left. Monday afternoon, I will be in Yekaterinburg for Ural against Krylia Sovietov. First game for Vadim Skripchenko as a visiting manager for Krylia since he left under acrimonious circumstances. And basically, the bloke lied. And Toka Thilade, our boss, asked me if I'm still bitter. Well, yes, I'll be honest, I am. The guy claimed he needs to go back to Belarus for health issues. 2 days later, turns up as manager of Krylia, and lo and behold, Krylia were playing Ural away that game. Now it's the return game. Ural, oh God, what a whirlwind it's been the last few days. Russian Cup final, the euphoria before it, and then the devastation of losing, and then the controversy with all the red cards that we mentioned earlier. Ural themselves, 29 points, 6 points clear of Orenburg. I felt that they're safe from relegation for a while. They've lost 3 in a row though, and admittedly the loss to Terek, it always seems to be controversy when they play Terek Grozny, and the 5-2 defeat in a way could be justified in part at least by the fact they pulled out a very, very makeshift side in preparation for the Russian Cup final, which is fair enough, but 5-2 was an utter annihilation. One of their heaviest defeats in a long time, certainly the most conceded in a long time. So I discount that one, but they did also lose the last 2. I'm tired. They lost the other 2 of the last 3. So on paper the form is bad, but I'd say the Russian Cup finals had a large part to do with that. They are at home to Krylia. Now Krylia, of course, they're fighting for their lives. They're only 1 point ahead of Arsenal. Arsenal, Tula, I do think will lose their game, to Rostov. I certainly don't think they'll get full points, but all they need is a point to really put the pressure on Krylia. I think Ural will win this. Ural's home form has been sensational since the winter break, and in fact they've won 6 games at home. I thought it was 5, but it's actually 6 as I'm reading this. Only scored 10 goals in 12 home games, but also only conceded 10 as well. So yeah, I think that's going to be an Ural win, and actually I think there'll be goals in this. When I say goals, I'm talking in the context of Ural. They don't score many, so more than 1. I think this will be 2-0 to Ural. Bit of anger simmering over Egan Manouchian, comments he's made. Pavlyuchenko standing up for his teammates in the Zenit game. Well, I say standing up for him, that's the positive way of looking at it. He lost his head, but he's emotional, he's fired up. So I see that being 2-0. And finally, Anzhi at home to Lokomotiv. Actually quite a hard one to call this, if I'm honest. Anzhi, they are like Ural on 29 points, 6 points clear of Orenburg, 6 points clear of any possible relegation. Lokomotiv, they've won the cup. They've done everything they need to do this season. They're qualified for Europe. They've qualified for Europe, so 4th place means nothing to them now. Even if they wanted to, they're 10 points behind with 4 games to go, so it'd be virtually impossible anyway. 35 points, 12 points clear of Orenburg. It's middle of nowhere. They've got Europe. Motivation is not very high. Anzhi, however, are basically a dreadful side, so it's interesting to see how that one's going to go. And I'm just going to drag up the team news. Pardon me, going a bit slow the internet today. on. Free Wi-Fi in Vanuka. They make you pay for it. That's ridiculous. So I'm using my 3G. I've got a few seconds left here, so I've got to be quick. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go for a draw. Motivation's not fair for Loco. Anchi aren't great, but a point will probably suit them very well. So that's it all. That's all from me, guys. Get your comments in as usual, and good luck.